This is not a sexy app. It's not the next Facebook. It's not some massive SaaS platform. It's not the kind of thing people are going to brag about building on Twitter. But this little internal app, this little ugly duckling solved a real problem for a local foundation company here in my town, and it netted me $7,000. It's a project that I built in about 5 days worth of work. And that's what I want you to pay attention to, because I think this is the part of the AI coding revolution that most people are missing. Right? Everybody's trying to come up with the perfect app idea, right? The big startup idea, the passion project, the thing that fits their background, the thing that nobody's ever seen. I get it. But if your goal is to actually start making money with AI coding tools, this revolution right now, I think that's the wrong place to start. The fastest path, it's not always building your dream app. I think the fastest path is finding somebody else's nightmare spreadsheet. Because somewhere inside almost every small or medium-sized business, there's this ugly process that absolutely everybody hates. Again, that 800-pound gorilla monster spreadsheet, that manual report, that broken approval process, a scheduling mess, a job tracking system that's held together with duct tape, a workflow that depends on one person remembering everything. Or in the case of this app that I'm going to show you, a foundation company that has no visibility in what jobs were done on what day, right? And that's not just a mess. Anytime you see these opportunities, that's a software application that's waiting to happen. That's how you got to look at it. And that's where the real opportunity is. If you want to be an entrepreneur in the greatest time in the history of the planet to be an entrepreneur using these AI tools, you can go out today and go find a real business with a real bottleneck, solve one painful problem, and create something in a short amount of time with the tools that you have available to you, Claude Code, Codex, ChatGPT. It may be worth $5,000, $7,000, or $10,000 to that company. I've built many of these applications throughout the year, in addition to the big enterprise things, but maybe you don't want to start there, right? The $50,000 to $60,000 jobs, we'd all love to do more of those. But there's a treasure trove worth of money out there, 5, 7, 10K, that you can do about a week's worth of work. And it's not because the app is sexy, it's because the problem is expensive. So in this video, I'm going to show you this app, the problem it solved, and how I used AI coding tools with my architect builder process to turn this boring business workflow into a paid software project. And more importantly, I want to show you how to start seeing these opportunities everywhere. This video is long, but it's not for you if you're wanting a quick fix. This is nothing sexy about it, straightforward, but it's easy to do. If you have the ability to see the big picture, some tenacity and some patience, you can learn how to do this. Because once you stop asking, what app should I build for myself? And instead start asking, whose painful business problem can I solve? Then your whole world opens up and the whole game changes. So let me show you what this company was dealing with. Okay, so real quick, what we're looking at here, we got two views. Over here on the left is a mirror of my iPhone. So it's a mobile app for the workers out in the field. It's a foundation company, and simply what they wanted to do was have visibility of what their foremen and their teams were working on. So this, if you were a foreman or a job, this would be your individual job, and you could click on here and you could see all the things that you had to do for this job, building control, caulking, and everything else, 465 linear feet. And then you could select which ones you wanted to update near the end of the day. You could sit there and you could update how many linear feet you did. I'm not going to do this for real because this is a real app going. And then at the end of the day, and then you could enter the quantity of things that you did for those jobs. You could, any issues that you had came up for the day, any needs that you had, any material needs, labor, so on and so forth. You can review it, send it. You could upload site photos. You could everything else. You could submit. Also, the foreman, if you look at the job overall, you could get a quick eye plan of all the drawings, the plans, the addendums, everything they had that's specific for the job. So it really was a mobile app for the foreman to update on look at their jobs and update their job status on a mobile app. And then here in the admin section, of course, same thing. The admin could look at all the jobs. They could see the progress that they're making on each of the jobs, any of the history that was made. This one's a brand new job. You can look at the site plan, everything else that you can see in the mobile app. But in addition to that, you have the ability to run reports, individual job report, all job summary, issues report, anything that you need for certain dates, everything else, generate reports. So it's a simple app that this company didn't have. And again, I did this in 5 days. An ability to increase the visibility for a small company, and it cost I got $7,000 in 5 days. So how did we build this? Again, it's not sexy. It's very simple. but it works for this company. So how did I go about creating this? Well, let me show you. The first step always starts with a brainstorming session, an intake session with the client, correct? And so I did a couple meetings with them. Each lasted about an hour and a half. Brainstorm what we could say. This was their biggest challenge and their biggest problem. And then so the thing that I would do is, like, once I recorded the conversation with the transcript, everything else, I would then take it into a brainstorming session into Claude or ChatGPT. And so now you can see I created a project in Claude. You could do this in ChatGPT. And I gave it some custom instructions of what the personality I want to like. And then I uploaded some files. I uploaded their current spreadsheet that they had over here. That's what this is. Their job template, a copy of the IWP commercial spreadsheets. It's just 3 simple documents. And then I also started an initial conversation here with the context. If I scroll to the top, you can see the initial conversation saying, okay, I've got a new project for a new client I need your help with. To remind you, here's my approach. Here's how I approach things. Makes complete sense. I upload documents. I upload the transcript right here from the last meeting. And again, I just keep brainstorming with Claude or ChatGPT, a large language model, is how I'm going to solve this. Here's the proposal that I sent. Here's the analysis. Here's everything. And again, it just keeps going on and on, this nice, long, iterative conversation. And at some point, when I get clear of like what this is going to look like, you can see how I'm brainstorming with Claude about what this app could potentially look like. He's even recommending some code. But again, I'm not writing the code here. I'm brainstorming. This is very critical and crucial. Probably 3-4 hours of brainstorming done in here. And so when I get to the point of the conversation where I say, okay, yes, I want to create the app. I want to build this app. Then I update and start using my project launcher. So again, this is a tool that I created. Again, I created it for myself, but then as I showed a video of me doing this, people started asking me to build this tool. So I gave this tool. It's available to you. So yes, it's a shameless plug, but this is the actual tool that I use to start a project. And how do I do that? Well, I start a new project over here and create a new project, and it's going to ask me to fill out some basics for this project. And why am I doing this? Well, because I have a specific method called the architect builder method, where when I use these coding tools, either Codex or Claude Code, I have 2 personalities. I have an architect that brainstorms with me and helps me plan the code, and then I have the builder who actually executes the code. So it's like if you're building a house, you could have a GC or a builder build your house for you. You can communicate the dream house, but it's probably not going to be as good as if you had the time and the money to go sit down with an architect to extract your dream, how you want to build the house, and have the architect come up with detailed plans and that you can feed to the builder so there's no ambiguity. So that is my solution or my process for creating code. And what it does, it creates a very detailed file folder structure that there's no context loss. It's constantly getting written. The folder structure is getting updated, and I'll show that to you in a second. And that way you can have multiple sessions, multiple tools, because everything gets saved, or historical knowledge gets saved in this detailed discipline file scaffolding system, which I'll show you here in a minute. But so it starts to get that detailed file folder system created for you. That's what the project launcher does. It populates or impregnates the whole architect builder philosophy into your folder system. That's why you have the project launcher. Because otherwise you'd have to set up this file folder system that's very complex and very robust, but this does it for you automatically. But to do that specific for your project, you've got to have some intake into what the program is going to do. Well, I had this really detailed brainstorming session that I spent 2, 3, 4 hours on over in here. So how do I get all this information into my architect builder process? Well, up here, it says, do you have a chat or GPT or Claude conversation about this project? I do. And so in that case, I'm going to copy this prompt, and this prompt I'm going to paste into that brainstorming session that I had. And this is going to extract all this information into a format that will automatically fill out all this information. Now you can type this yourself, but my God, if you've been doing a brainstorming session, why not you use the tools to extract it and have it updated automatically, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go back after I copy this prompt up here in my tool. I'm going to go back into here, and I'm going to paste this prompt down here at the bottom. And let's look at what that prompt says. That prompt basically says, you're an experienced project consultant. Help me prepare a project intake for the project launcher. If we've already been talking about the project in this conversation, which we have, use that context. If this is a new chat, which it's not, but either way, it's going to interview me in a phase one, and then it's going to produce the intake in this format right here. So I'm going to paste this. It's probably going to ask me a few questions, but eventually I'm going to get the output that I need. Okay, so after a couple minutes, it did ask me a couple questions. Since I had a very robust brainstorming session, it pretty much answered all the questions, but it did ask me a few questions. The project name slug, a GitHub repo, and the success criteria. I went with the suggestions, and then it came up with this nice output right here in the markdown format. It's got the project name, the client name, project slug, tech stack, the canonical GitHub repo, one sentence description, user roles, current workflow, right? All of this, the pain points, the target workflow, the source materials, the system tools, the data inputs and outputs, the out of scope, the success criteria, and open questions. It also gave me a markdown document I can download here, but you can either download, or in this case, I'm just going to copy this whole markdown section right here. And this is, again, the power of doing the brainstorming first before you use the project launcher. But the project launcher, the power and the reason why you get it is because it creates that unique architect builder file folder structure that is so critical, that just makes coding things so easy. And I'll show you. And so I'm going to paste that output in here in my project launcher and pre-fill the form. It's got 18 of 18 fields format, and you can see it does a beautiful job of filling in all of this. I'd hate to do this by hand. That's why I do a brainstorming session to fill this in. And again, the whole point of this is to get this file folder structure. It's going to ask, who's this app for? I picked external facing. And so now I'm going to go ahead and create the architect workspace. And so now it has created a project here called IWP Field Reporting App. If I look in my projects, you can see it got added right here. I'm going to go back to my project and notice here what has happened. I can look at my info and intake, which I already have, and I can edit it and re-download it again, but it's just right here. This is the input that we put in. But this is what it's asking me to do. This is the money. This is the reason why you buy the project launcher for this. It says you want to download the save the generated folder. And so you're going to download this folder. It's going to put it onto your hard drive. And I'm going to unzip it here. And we're going to look at this folder structure here as it's unzipped. There it is right there, right over at the top. I'm going to open this up and you can see this folder structure. And maybe we want to blow it up a little bit to see. This comes kind of pre-filled, everything in here. And there's your source code is going to go into here. And all of this is kind of empty, but the planning folder is what's critical. You got a thing called architect packs. This is what your architect is going to create. It's going to create the detailed instructions, the overall picture of the plan. And they're going to hand those detailed plans off to the builder. The builder is going to generate sprints. And they're going to, for each architect pack, each plan, you've got a set of prints. So picture it if you're building a house. The first set of plans is for the kitchen, and it's the overarching plan, the drawings, and then the sprint is going to be how the builder is going to execute that plan and make the kitchen. The next architect pack would be for the master bedroom, and then the sprint for the master bedroom, so on and so forth. You've got all these folders in here about questions, risks, intake, state, what's the current state of the project. All of this is getting updated throughout. So if I end up and die, if I start another coding project, a human or another coding engine can pick this up and no context is lost, which is key when you're using AI tools, okay? So now we've got this IWT field app. We need to put this in some location onto my hard drive. So in this case, on my hard drive, I have a folder called 120X, and this purple folder right here are my builds. They're all my programs, right? And so I'm going to put into this folder, into my builds, I'm going to take this new program and I'm going to put it into my builds folder. You can put it anywhere, but at least somewhere where your projects are on your hard drive, your desktop, wherever, it doesn't matter. Just put it onto your computer somewhere. And now we're in a position where we can actually start coding, okay? And so we've got this in my builds folder over here. And so the next thing that the project launcher tells you to do, it says run the architect from the folder. Now in Claude Code, I've got a special skill set. If you've got that, since you've got that folder structure on your hard drive, you can now run this command this /architect. If you're using Codex, there's nothing other than Claude Code. You just paste this prompt because I don't have that skill like I have in /architect here. But that's okay. You can just paste this prompt when you're starting the conversation with the architect, and it'll make sense. And so we'll do this step. We're going to run the architect from the folder. How do we do that? We can launch Claude Code. Launch it from your terminal, launch it from Anti-Gravity, launch it from Cursor, whatever the case may be. Or if you got the desktop app in Claude, we'll start a new session here in Claude Code. And the most important thing, we need to navigate to the right folder, the folder that I just put onto my hard drive. So I'm going to open the folder, and we're going to navigate to my 120X, to my build folder, right there, the purple folder, builds. And there's my brand new application right there, IWP Field App. We're going to click on that. We're going to open it. And that's the folder that we're going to start our Claude Code session in. Very critical step right here, right? So now Claude Code knows where all those source files are at. So now, according to the instructions, this is how simple this is to get it started, is we're just going to run this code /architect in Claude Code. If this was in Codex, you would copy this prompt and start it from there. It does the exact same thing. But down in here, I'm going to type in /architect, which is right there. I'm going to hit enter. And now it's reading in that folder. It's taking on this personality of the architect. I got a lot of stuff coded in there. It knows exactly what to do. The architect is not going to create code. It's very important. This is your brainstorming professional that's going to help you with the overarching plan. I cannot tell you how powerful this is. So he's going to read everything that we've done in there, and he's going to come up with the plan. He's probably going to do some more discovery sessions with me, but because we were so thorough in our intake form over here in the project launcher, because we spent a good deal of time, again, for this project, filling out all of this detail that we extracted from the brainstorming session, the architect session is probably going to be pretty robust. And let's see what it says. Okay, he's done. Now look how powerful this is. This is why I love the architect, right? And it says where this stands. You've done the hard part of discovery already. The intake for the IWP field reporting app is genuinely strong, right? We know the business pain, paper orange photos that vanish, a $6,000 change order, so on and so forth. What exists in the folder right now is a scaffold in that intake. No code, no real architecture, so on and so forth. Its job is to do architect pack 001 in planning, no application code, so on and so forth. So today we're deciding 3 things: how rigorous this really needs to be, the intake flag. I think it's worth a second look. What smallest generally useful first slice is. The full version is a 5-week beta, too big for one sprint, so on and so forth. 3 things I want to settle. External facing. I think this is mislabeled. It matters a lot. So it's such a powerful ally to have in your mind to help you brainstorm and get this right, to get this application right. I want to confirm, is anyone outside even going to log in, so on and so forth. The source materials aren't in the folder yet. Yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't put those source materials in the folder, but I will do that. The smallest useful first slice, so on and so forth. Answer those 3 and I'll have what I need. A couple of small ones are line. Nothing gets written in until you say go. So I will go pause this and I will go ahead and add the source materials into the folder. I'll show you where that's at, and then we'll have him write the first pack. But before we do that, notice over here for a little technique what I do. This is the discussion that I'm in. It's ungrouped. So I'm going to right click this. I'm going to rename this. This is my technique. I'm going to call this architect, and we'll say it's for pack 001. And that keeps it straight. And then I'm going to create a group for this. And so we'll rename this. Move to a group. And I'm going to do a new group. We're going to call this group IWP. And we'll save it. And now I've got the conversation here. So this is my architect. So we're not ready for the builder yet. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to load the source materials into the folder. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I went in and I found those reference documents, basically the spreadsheet that the company was using. And I went into my 120X builds, into the folder, the IWP project that we're on. And then in here, I created a place called references, a place for client docs. And you can see right here, I put the template in here, and I also put a sample foreman report and a sample pay app report. They gave me pictures of what they want the reports to look like. So those are only the 3 reference files that I had there. So I uploaded it. I told Claude code, the architect, that I say I've updated the reference files. Again, I'm doing this for a demo, so don't get too anal retentive about this. We're just trying to do this for a demo. But he said, let me see what you dropped in. I can see the 3 files. Let me look at all of them. Now the job cost template. And he said, this is exactly what I need. The 2 report images and the job cost workbook locked down. It's got everything. It parsed the spreadsheet. It's got the format confirmed. And then he says, what's he doing here? Here's what I'm baking in: internal single tenant app, a demo MVP, deferred past the demo, data model comes straight from your reference docs, so on and so forth. Generating the pack now. So what does that mean? This is the primary job of the architect, is to create the architect pack. And I'm going to show you when this architect pack is done, how detailed and how structured this is. But it takes him a little while to create this. Just for your reference, where is he putting this? We'll open up the files here. We can look at it here within Claude Code itself. And if we look down here, this is a representation of that folder structure that we were looking at. Oops, sorry about that. And essentially right here, if I look at this planning folder, you can see right here, maybe I can make this, can I make this any bigger? Wonder, blow it up for you just in case. But right here, the architect packs, he's writing it to this folder. So once he's done, it'll be put into here. And then we'll go ahead and read that when it's done. It's very eye-opening when it's done. So I'll pause this, and when he gets done with the architect pack, we'll look at it. Okay, he's done. He created the architect pack. You can see right here, he says, where's it at? Where is it at? Here it is. Architect pack 001 is done. Saved it here. What's in it? All these planning docs rewritten. Architecture docs, Sprint 001 mark complete, Sprint 002 demo vertical slice, so on and so forth. 2 things I assumed and flagged, not blockers, performance percentage. So again, these are specific for kind of the reporting, replicating the spreadsheet into the app that they've been using. Your move, review, then apply. Now let's look over here at the folder structure. If I open up my planning and I look at architect packs, bam, there it is. He wrote architect pack 001 discovery. Let's look inside of it. What's inside of it? And so we can look right here. This is everything that he wrote: the current status, the active sprint, the roadmap. He's thinking it's going to be 6 sprints total. Next actions, dry run this, apply the pack, and I'll show you that here in a second. What the blockers are. This file, decisions, needs to get updated. These are decisions that we're making for this application, and this file will grow. What the domain, what is this for? Who is this for? Who's the client? The business goal, project type, the primary users, current workflow, target workflow, key terms, business rules, known constraints, risks. Look at this, guys. This is detailed. This is I put in my computer science stuff that I learned in 1990, 1991. This is what you see in this right here. This discipline of how you write code, how this gets updated, the scaffolding is done right, this historical knowledge. Nothing gets lost in a chat. Everything is getting written to this folder structure, so any coding agent, any human can pick it up, and we know exactly what we're doing. This is the right way to create a software application using these tools. This is what Sprint 001 is going to be about. This is what Sprint 2 is going to be about. We're doing 2 sprints in this first architect pack. This is amazing stuff, guys. I cannot emphasize how important this is to keep your code straight. You will not get lost. You will not hallucinate. You will not get all these crazy errors. It'll be so organized. People will thank you if you hand it off to somebody, okay? So another thing before we go to the builder, I want to show you that we're looking at this in Claude Code. You can also look at this at your mission control over here in the project launcher that you can buy. And if we go to mission control right here, and I connect my project folder to this, I'm going to navigate to my builds, to my new app. I'm going to select it. We're going to allow it, and right there it says where it's at. It said, here's the architect pack, the state that you're in. And you can also, right over here, you can look at the same code, the architect pack, and you can read your markdown folder right here. So it's just another way that you can view what's inside your architect, all of these files over here, his decisions that we made. Here's the domain. Hadn't been written yet, so we're just in that first pack. All this is going to get updated here in a second when I activate the builder, okay? So now the builder, though, has a plan. This architect pack 001 is the plan. Think of it if you're building a house. The architect has just delivered the detailed plans for the kitchen, right? And now the builder's going to read it. So that's what we're going to do now. We're in a state right now where the architect has created the pack. So now we need to activate the builder. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to create a new session all within Claude Code. Again, if you're doing this in Codex, you do the same thing. If you're doing it in Cursor, whatever you're going to do. And because we're using the architect builder method and you download that folder structure, all you have to do is type /build, and it's going to activate these series of commands, and it's going to take on the personality of the builder. This is the coder. This is the person that's going to execute the plan. Your architect does not write code. Your builder writes code. Even though we're in Claude Code, they're both doing the same thing. So I'm going to, while this is generating over here, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to rename this. This is my technique. I say builder. And he said he's going to do 2 sprints. So I'm just going to put sprint 001. And this is my technique. You don't have to do this 002. Just so that I know. And then I'm going to drag this. I'm going to move this to my IWP project. And so now within my IWT group, I've got an architect conversation and I've got a builder conversation. And I'm just going to go back and forth. This will make sense. I use these 2 personalities because I separate the roles, because I want the architect focused on one thing, brainstorming, planning with me, writing plans, and I want the builder focused on executing those those plans, so there's no ambiguity. Could you do it all in one? Yes, but why when you can spread the context and having that second set of eyes? I can't tell you how many times by looking at the plan that the builder comes up with, and I'll show you this right here when he's done. When I take a plan before he writes the code and I have the architect get a second set of eyes on it and approve it, they always catch something, and vice versa. So it's good to play off of these 2. And it's a good way, according to the Claude Code, some best practices, to have somebody else review the code. So that's why I do it. I can't tell you how powerful this is. It's saved my bacon so many times. So what is he doing right here? So he has the full picture. He's reading everything. He's read Architect Pack 01. He's read all these things. And per the builder rules, an unapplied pack must be dry run first. So it's dry running it. It's looking at the 13 files, and then it applies it. So now he's writing and updating those files. He's done that. He's got a concrete seed grappling for the seed reports. He's doing everything. He's just reading the plan and executing off of it. But he hasn't written any code yet. That's critical. And look right here. This is baked into the architect builder method. Got that red dot, code gate, waiting your approval. Here's sprint 002 plan, awaiting your approval. Pack 01 is applied. Sprint 02 demo vertical slice is now the active sprint. What this sprint accomplishes, so on and so forth, the proposed file layout, everything else. This is what he's going to update. These are the Python functions he's going to update and create. Here's the root. Here's the validation plan. Here's the scope guards, what he's not going to do. Here's the open questions blockers before he builds. Do you approve this plan so I can start writing code? I'm going to copy this entire output. I'm going to go back to the architect. And I've had some people criticize me, said I'm wasting my time, but I'm telling you, this is how you create clean code. This is how you do it. If you've never coded before, this is the right way to do it. I'm going to paste it in here to get a second set of eyes and ask the architect, what does he think about the builder's plan? Now, there's a lot of people out there saying, hey, I'm just going to run all these looping agents and do it. I'm going to go to bed at night and do everything else. If you're starting out in coding, do not do it. Do it this way, because you're going to understand what you're building. And I'll stand on this hill. I don't care about all these other vibe coders saying, I'll just let it run, let it do it, and this, that, just give it intent. Look, I'm giving it intent, but I'm also applying some discipline that needs to be done in this coding. Trust me. You're going to hand clean code to your client, and they're going to be so appreciative. You're going to hand this clean code to a developer that wants to take it even further. He's going to be so appreciative. You're going to hand it to another coding agent, and the coding agent is going to know exactly what you're building. I will stand by this. This is the right way to do it. I can't tell you how many times I've been complimented for how clean my code is when I've handed it to my client. Okay, so the architect says, hey, look, review of Builder Sprint 010, short version, the plan is faithful to the pack, approve it. It honors the data model, puts the metric math. Here are my 3 answers to the 3 open questions so the builder can move on. This is another reason why you've got that second set of eyes. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting. It's helping you make decisions so you don't have to. You can just read it, right? So approve. Tell the builder to proceed with the back end and database first. I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to ask it here. Hold on. can you give me a prompt in a coding window so I can just cut and paste what to say to the builder? It makes it easier instead of highlighting and cutting and pasting. It's a technique that I do because he's telling me it's approved, but I don't like to make things ambiguous. What if I don't copy it right? So I ask for this so I can just copy it. So he's coming up, the architect saying the plan's approved, proceed with sprint 002, 2 guardrails for the demo, do not add row level security, so on and so forth. Honor this. I just love this. And so I'm going to copy the architect's response. I'm going to go back to the builder, right? Just keep it in here. And I'm going to say, hey, dude, you are approved. And from here, he's actually going to start writing source code. And so now we're finally writing code. Is this cumbersome? Is this going back and forth? Maybe, but I'm telling you guys, this is better than trying to clean up messy code, a week down the line. You just do this methodical chunk by chunk. Let's build the kitchen first, and let's build the master bath, and let's build the kids' bedroom 1, kids' bedroom 2. Let's build the garage. Do it step by step. He's already said it's going to take 6 sprints to build this app. And that's about what it took when I did this for real the first time. I think it was 6 or 7, and I was done. I did this and delivered it to these guys in less than 5 days. Again, it's not a sexy app. It's kind of an ugly duckling, but who cares? It got the job done. And for 5 days of work for $7,000, how do you beat that? You could do that 4 times a week. That's $28,000 a month that you're bringing in. $28,000 a month. It's over $300,000 a year. If you could just do 1 app a week, $7,000, $5,000. I mean, this is what you can do, guys. This is what I've been doing for the last 2 years. You can do this too. So it's approved, and what is he doing? Let me mark the phase, sprint 2 implementation. He's now writing the code. Now, while he's writing the code, let's go look at some of the folder structure of what he updated. So I'm going to update the files. We'll do it here in Claude Code. You could do this, again, in your mission planner. You can look at it in Obsidian, whatever you want, but it's just nice to read them in these coding tools because it's hard to read markdown files outside, particularly if you're on a PC. But right here, we got the architect pack, like we looked at that, but this is what the builder did. He created sprints, and each sprint has 4 documents to it. So he's on sprint 2, you got an acceptance criteria here, right? Like, what does done mean? And this is what's so powerful. So the builder knows that this is what needs to happen for this sprint to be a success, for it to be done. I mean, how powerful is that, right? And then we go down here, open up the sprint again, sprint 2, and then the blueprint. This is the blueprint. This is what the builder or the architect has created to have him to start writing the code, just an overarching blueprint. If you look over here in the sprints, and then we've got a handoff prompt. This was the prompt that the architect created for the builder right here, right? So there's no ambiguity about what to read, what to do. And then over here are the requirements, overall requirements, and what needs. This discipline, I love this method, this process. It's so helpful. It's this architectural knowledge. Each sprint has those 4 documents in it. Each architect pack for each thing you create. Once we get done with this builder, we'll create architect pack 2, and we'll just rinse and repeat. I hope you guys are seeing the value of this. So I'll pause this here, and when he's done, I'll show you what the next step is, and then we'll finish up this video. Okay, that was a pretty big sprint. It took about 15 minutes for him to write it. This is quite a large sprint, but you can see all the details, what he's doing, creating the files. I won't go through all the details. He did a backhand half. He did it in two type of backlinks, but he did checkpoint right here, backhand half of sprint 02 built and testable. And he stopped and he asked me what was built. He asked me to do some things, some decisions were made, not yet exercised. I checked it. I told him he can continue. Got it. He's continuing the build. It did a lot of things with Supabase, everything else. And then for the demo purpose, I said, you don't need to go. We've already built this before, so you can go ahead and stop because I wanted to show. But this is the important thing I wanted to show. When it naturally finishes a sprint, he does a lot of things. He closes out the folder. He updates state. He updates validation, updates architect briefing, and recorded decisions in this. This is the historical knowledge. This is what makes the architect builder thing so powerful, right? And so let me open up Obsidian. It's just a way to view some of these folders. You don't need Obsidian, but it's I use it a lot. But like over here, it's again, looking at the folder structure. If I look at this, Look at this architect briefing. This is what he's done after sprint 2, where things stand. And that is, so let's look at those folders. We'll open up the file system over here in Claude Code. And particularly if you look at over here in planning, you look at this architect briefing, which is the most important one. Let me make this a little bit bigger. But this is so critical at the end of each builder session. He updates the architect where things stand, the current status since the last sprint, the architecture file map, the decisions that were made in the sprint, the risk, the watch item, the open questions for the architect, so on and so forth. Very critical. Validation, let's see what that folder is right there. Where is validation? It's in docs, but right here, update the file when validation behavior changes, what working means, the test layers, validation run, what it did to validate the run, all the architect briefing, he updated this, where things stand. Again, maybe you think it's overkill, but I'm telling you, having this historical knowledge is huge. The decisions that were made, the decision logs, all the decisions that were added, if they were satisfied or whatever the case may be. So again, I just point out again, the value you get from doing this architect builder method is that historical knowledge and keeping it up. And so when we're closing it out, some things that I can do is that I can copy this outcome and say, close it out. He's closed out the sprint. I ask the architect if he agrees with it, and we can close it out. So I'm just going to pretend that we closed everything out. And then when you're done, the thing that I'm not showing in this video is when I close out the builder's done, it says it's complete, I will have the builder commit to GitHub, right? So that's the chance for me to make sure that the code gets written to the cloud. I'm not going to go over that in this video, but that is what I do. I commit it to GitHub so we have that sprint saved. It's like saving our progress as we go. And then when I'm ready to start the next pack, I can continue the conversation in Architect. And you can see down here how much context we've used for this. So I've got plenty, but it's not a bad idea to start a new session. I might do 2 packs per session for Architect, but I'm just going to pretend that this, if we were going to do the next, and then I'll make sure in the right area, and I just hit /architect again. And because everything's been updated, it's going to read all of those files that have been updated. So even though I'm starting a brand new session that has no context, this is the application that brings itself up to speed automatically just by reading that disciplined folder structure that we talked about there. If I wanted to start this session in Codex, I could do the exact same thing and pick up, and it's going to know exactly where I was at because the context is not saved in the chat. It's saved in the folder structure. Do you see the power in that? So that's what we're doing. So it's going to read everything here, and it's going to say, hey, here's where we stand. Are you ready for me to create Architect Pack 002? And I just continue that process back and forth until we're all done. One thing I wanted to show too in the project launcher, if I redetect, if I refresh basically where we're at, and it says the sprint was closed, take it back to your architect, like we said, and it shows you, hey, the demo is built, a field form is so recommended next action, so on and so forth. You can see the full architect briefing here, so on and so forth. Again, and you can read the documents here like we were shown in the planner itself. So that's the key. This project launcher helps you get launched. It also tells you where you're at. It's just another tool to show you where you're at in your project and so you start coding the right way. So we just repeat that process back and forth, architect builder through each of the individual packs until you're absolutely done. Now, one thing that I'm not showing in this video is once you get it done, committed, and pushed to GitHub, at some point you're going to have to deploy the app somehow, either internally or use something like Vercel or Render to actually create the app. And that's a whole nother video series. So there's more steps to it than but actually building it within Claude Code or Codex or whatever the case may be. But this is how you do the bulk of the work in these methodical steps back and forth, architect builder until you're done. So the one thing I want you to take away from this video, let it be this. Stop trying to find the perfect app idea, right? Go find a real business problem somewhere. I tell you, you got friends, you got business owners, just have a conversation with them. Find the spreadsheet that everybody hates. Find the manual report. Find the approval process, the scheduling mess, the job tracking headache, the thing that business is already paying for in wasted time and frustration. Stop trying to build the sexy app that you're going to sell on app. It's just, that's a waste of time. You can, right now, I guarantee you can go find a business that's having a problem and get $5, $7, $10,000 and do a week's worth of work. You can do this. That's where the opportunity is. And if you want a system for turning that kind of messy business problem into that builder software project, that's why I built the 120X project launcher. I mean, you can look at the testimonials. I have a teacher that for the first time, for 2 years, he was trying to solve a problem in his school. And software developers could not or would not solve the problem. Now he's doing it himself. People are unleashing projects at their, doing it themselves. These tools are amazing, and you can learn how to do this. That project launcher, it gives you the project structure. That's what you're buying. It doesn't build the app, but it helps get you started, giving you that project structure, giving you that architect builder method, the architect prompts, the sprint files, the requirements, the blueprint, the acceptance criteria, the builder handoff, so you can use tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Codex, Claude Code Cursor, whatever you want without losing the plot. You can mix and match. It's tool agnostic. That's what's so great about it. The link is below. Again, if you know me, I'm authentic. I'm not pushing. There's no upsells. You can go grab the project launcher for $149. You start with one ugly workflow, and then you can turn it into something a business would actually pay for. Let me know what you're building. If you need help with the project launcher, I'm an email away. You can let me know. I answer every email. Hope to see you on the inside.